Ms. Monakali,
Evening, Chief Justice.
are you well?
I'm fine, thanks, and yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. Are you relaxed?
A little bit nervous.
A little bit nervous, yes. Well, first of all, let me apologize to you that we promised to start much earlier with you, and it's only now that we're starting with your interview.
It's fine.
Apologies.
It's fine.
Where do you come from? Where is home? Where were you born and bred?
Originally from Whittlesea. It's just a small town not far from Queenstown.
Okay.
Yes, I was born there.
And which degrees do you have?
Chief Justice, it's a BUris and the LLB. I could not complete my LLM.
Yes.
Yes,
Where did you obtain them from?
the first two.
Yes.
University of Transkei.
What then did you do? What kind of work did you then do?
Immediately after I've completed my BUris, I worked as a district court prosecutor, and then I pursued my studies by doing LLB. And thereafter, I also worked as a regional court prosecutor, and thereafter was then appointed as a magistrate, district
Yes.
court magistrate.
For how many years were you a district court prosecutor?
To be specific, it was from December 1996 up until May 2004.
And
May 2004. More than,
from 96 to 94.
in fact, let's say because it's December 1996, I'll say 97 to 2000, in fact to 2003.
Yes.
Yes.
Does that include the regional court as well? Or is it only district court?
No, from 96, December 96 to 2004, May, both district and the regional
Okay.
court.
And you've been a magistrate since 2004.
Yes, Chief Justice.
Is that district or regional? I see you're a member of JSC, that's for district court magistrate.
Yes.
Are you a
correct.
district court magistrate now?
Yes, Chief Justice.
And your questionnaire suggests that you have never acted as a judge.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Unfortunately, I was never afforded that opportunity.
That opportunity.
Though I tried to avail myself, but unfortunately,
Yes.
yes.
What fueled your confidence that even if you have not acted in the High Court, you really can make it?
Well,
Just take your time and tell us why you are satisfied that an acting instinct is really not an impediment. You are ready to assume responsibilities as a High Court judge.
yes, Chief Justice. As I've mentioned that I started working as a prosecutor, so I do have that experience, legal experience, and also I've worked as a district court magistrate, and also as I've acted as the regional court magistrate. Yes, I know that you cannot compare the High Court with the district. Because in the district, mainly you're dealing with, I would say, minor offenses compared to the High Court. But at the same time, these matters that end up in the High Court, they start in the district, but the district court magistrate also only deals with the bail applications. And also, but though there is that difference, I submit that with that experience from prosecution and also as a district court magistrate and also acting as the regional court magistrate, I think I can be said to be a suitable candidate.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you write judgments as a district court magistrate? And if so, if time allows you, and if so, how long and how researched does your schedule allow them to have them?
To be honest, because of the workload in the district court, as a district court magistrate, you most of the time give extempore judgments.
Yes, I
Yeah,
thought so.
yes. So you'll hardly have a written. I personally have written judgments while I was acting in the
Regional court.
Regional court, because
Yes,
imagine in the district you'll have, let's say, 5 trials
yes, in a day.
in a day. So you won't have
Time.
enough time to write a judgment. That's why I'm saying most of the time we just
Yes.
deliver extempore judgments.
So, would you consider that to be a disadvantage or not? That you have, for over 10 years,
Yeah.
been working in a court that does not allow you to write judgments, but now you are going to a court, if appointed, that requires of you to write judgments, well-reasoned judgments.
Well, as I've mentioned that while I was acting in the regional court, I started to write my judgments. And
Yes.
further, even in the Justice College while I was a district court magistrate, we were, in fact, we were advised to write judgments. And also I attended courses on judgment writing.
Yes.
Though I need some just polishment on that one, because I know that the structure of a judgment, at least though I give extempore judgments, but I do
Yes.
have an idea what is it that is expected from the judgment.
Yes.
Yes.
And for how long were you acting in the regional court?
It's been some time, Honorable Chief Justice, because in the regional court you'll be given a period of 3 months, and then you'll go back to your station, and then again after a year, or if you're so lucky, you'll be called again within the same year. But I would say it's been more than a year, but you are only confined to a period of 3 months.
So you've had 4 3-month periods in the regional court, if you
Yes.
put them together.
Yes, Chief Justice.
And you have been able to attach 3 judgments.
Yes, Honorable Chief Justice.
Yes. Thank you very much. JP?
Thank you, Chief Justice. Have you read these comments about you? Did you get a chance to read them?
Yes, Honorable JP.
One of those is from the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates.
Yes.
Now, they are saying you appear to be careless and you lack the precision that one would expect of someone in your position. They're talking more about judgments.
Mhm.
They say in your judgments there are various errors, some of which are corrected by hand, and also spelling errors. Would you say this is correct? This is true? Should you accept this to be the true position?
Not really. Well, it may happen that to the judgment that I've handed in, yes, there were some errors. But now, when I had to attach these judgments, I was not in my office. I I was somewhere where I had no access to my judgments. So I had to ask or one of the clerks to assist me just to quickly type a judgment for me. Otherwise, if indeed there are errors, it's not a good impression, especially if you're to be considered as a judge. But I can assure you, though I cannot remember the judgment, but I can assure you with confidence that if there are errors, such errors cannot be found on the order or on the decision, because as a judicial officer, you cannot make an error on your order. That one must be clear. Further, as a judicial officer, you cannot make an error, let's say, on your verdict. That is completely unacceptable. So that's why I'm saying I assume such errors, if they are there, they're not on the decision or on the order.
Why do you speak like that? An error is an error.
Yes, but
It's not
sorry.
You don't do it deliberately. It's
Yes.
a mistake.
That's why I'm making.
So why would you not make a mistake?
That's why I'm making an emphasis on the. If as a judicial officer you make an error on the order, obviously you're going to confuse the parties. That's why I'm saying if the error is on the order, that one is completely unacceptable. Not saying that if there are other areas on your judgment, it is acceptable. But the one that is on your order, at least your order must be clear. Your decision must be clear. If your verdict must be clear, you cannot make an error on these aspects. I don't know whether I've
Another
answered.
third point that is taken is that, by way of example, the third judgment, I suppose you had attached it to the candidate's application, was heard on 30 January 2016, and a 4-page judgment was delivered almost a year later on 15
Okay.
January 2017.
I
for
remember that one. I
Yeah.
remember that one. Yes, on that one, as I've mentioned that I was not in my office, that judgment, it was an exercise when we were attending a workshop, but I did write that judgment. It was an exercise when I was attending, it's a course for the aspirant judges. So I did not check the facts. Obviously on the facts, maybe the date, I don't remember the date, but it was an exercise that we were given during the workshop for the aspirant. So I had to write that judgment based on those facts. It's not that I'm a type of person who delivers judgment after a long time.
Now, lastly, they say the candidate clearly does not have sufficient technical competence to be appointed as a judge.
I would assume maybe it's because, as I've mentioned earlier on, that I was never afforded that opportunity to act in the High Court. Maybe that base and such on that aspect.
Is this not a way of trying to enforce your rights that you should be appointed to act this coming year? To
Yes.
apply for the
Acting appointment. Yes, Honorable JP, but at the same time, as I've mentioned that I did avail myself. I don't know, for some reason, I was never nominated to go or given that chance to go and act. Yes.
And so, you are trying to make it possible for you to be given an opportunity
I would appreciate it.
to go and act.
I would appreciate it.
Why do you come via this commission? Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, JP. Premier?
Thank you so much, CJ. Good evening, ma'am.
Evening, Premier.
On the pack, there is a form, the questionnaire for candidates for judicial appointment, did you fill it by yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On page 11 of it, there is a
Yes.
question in respect of your most significant contribution to the law and the pursuit of justice in South Africa. Your response there is transformation. What do you mean by that? Bearing the question.
That means I'll ensure that yes, there is transformation, as you'll understand that in some areas there is that lack of transformation when you consider gender, not enough female judicial officers are appointed.
Now, the question specifically is, what would you regard as your most significant contribution? Not in the general sense, specifically, or have you had any contribution to make?
Oh, well, not yet, but if I was to make any significant contribution, obviously, where I'll be working, let's say if I'm appointed at Mtata, obviously I'll have to ensure that I'll comply with the norms and standards. And also ensure that I also comply with the case flow management, because you will be contributing by finalizing cases, because there will be parties that will be involved, and also obviously your judgments.
What does
Would
that
be
question mean? What does the question mean? Do you understand it, ma'am? The question in the form that the Premier is reading to you, do you
Yes.
understand what it means or don't you understand?
Unless you can assist me, Chief Justice,
Or
because
it-
I thought I was answering. If I'm not, I
No,
would
the
appreciate.
question wants to know from you,
Yes, Chief Justice.
what big thing have you done to contribute to, is it to the law, to the development of the law? How have you contributed to the development of the law in a way that people could possibly even clap for you? People can praise you and say, you've really done well because of this contribution. That is the question. Now,
Thank
the
you.
answer is transformation, and
Okay.
that's what the Premier is trying to understand.
Okay.
Your answer to that question.
Okay.
It's about what you have already done,
Okay.
not what you are going to do or if appointed.
Okay, let's, I'll make an example as a judicial officer in my court. The contribution that I've done is when I'm in court, I ensure that I treat everybody equally. That would make somebody who's sitting there at the gallery, that at least there is justice in this court. And also, as I've mentioned, that if I finalize cases, obviously, the community has an interest on that. So I've finalized cases, so I've served the interest of the community.
Now, the last would be, if I said to you, you did not apply yourself to the form itself, the questionnaire itself, what would you say?
I did not apply my mind.
Yes.
I tried my best.
All right. No, thank you then.
Okay.
Thank you, Premier. Commissioner Nogesi?
Thank you, Chief Justice. I know I'm just going to. No, sorry. Look, I will start with this your last case, the case, this one. In your questionnaire. This is just a standard thing that is given for all those people who attend aspirant judges training. It's a training exercise.
Yes.
Why do you deem it to attach as your case? Because the questionnaire requires a case that you sit there in court, you listen. Why did you not understand it in that way?
No, as I've mentioned that unfortunately I was not in my court. So I had to rely on the ones that were on my laptop.
And lastly, the way in which your application, in fact, if you will look on your application letter as
Yes.
attached here, it's the handwritten one. You apply for the Eastern Cape Division, you apply for the Electoral Court, you apply for the Labor Court. It is carelessly written, even the questionnaire. the way-
Commissioner, please, you could put it, differently rather than carelessly.
Okay, thank you. I'm removing the carelessly. But what I'm trying to say is, you didn't have time just to type this thing, otherwise, I mean, that's my last question. Your application at least.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, ma'am. You don't have to answer that one.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't type mine either, by the way, when I applied to the High Court.
Okay.
Commissioner Msomi?
No, thanks, Chief Justice. Ma'am, I'm looking at the comments by the Eastern Cape Society of Advocates. If I look at paragraph 4, they say you take an excessively long time to produce judgments of an insignificant length. And they give an example of a judgment where you had the matter on the 30th of Jan 2016, and you only delivered it on the 15th of January 2017.
She has already answered
Oh,
the
has she?
Commissioner. Yes. She has dealt with that issue.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief Justice. I can't take it any further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Ma'am, I just want to thank you for the courage to defy all the odds. Make yourself available, I believe, particularly because you realized the need for a more significant gender representation in the High Court in the Eastern Cape. Thank you for making yourself available,
Thank you.
and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You are excused, ma'am.
Thank you.